Winter in Northern California came early this year and stayed late. The amount of snow was ridiculous. It was right up near the top as one of the snowiest seasons on record. But life goes on, even in the winter, and our game cameras captured some really good wildlife sightings. My buddy Aaron and I bought this 91 acres of raw land that we call Everstoke about 2 years ago so we could turn it into a mountain biker's paradise with vacation rentals and trails, and we are making progress towards that dream.
What a berm, huh?
I've got a lot of projects to tackle to get this place up and running. We've got water problems, we've got power problems, we've got pooping problems. There's a lot of problems to fix. There was still snow on the ground a few weeks ago when I finally got back to the property. The post-snow melt mud is strong and it will suck you in if you make the wrong move.
Momentum!
But for as much of a beating that the property took this crazy winter, things have held up really good. No major landslides, no flooding, and maybe one or two smallish trees falling down but not actually hitting anything or blocking any trails. But we still had the annual bursting of the pipes, a grand celebration of the new year. And it's the same part that broke last year. But wait, there's more! 2 of the 3 water filters blew themselves off the manifold. It must have taken so much energy for this to happen. A nice little $540 mistake that we'll never make again? So I put my plumber hat on, got to work replacing the main shutoff. I am so thankful for PEX piping and shark bite valves. It makes plumbing so much easier for a novice like me. I can't imagine doing this in copper. So you ever procrastinate on buying an item from Amazon because you think, it's just gonna be 2-day shipping? Well, the water filter was a week-long shipping, so it didn't come in time for this particular trip, so I just made a straight pipe and bypassed everything to get things up and running. So now it's time to get the power back up and running. You can't have water without power when you're off the grid unless you've got some kind of old-timey pump thing. Power is the $25,000 problem that I'm still working on in the background, but like a good chef going through a sad refrigerator at 2 a.m., I can scrape something together. I dusted off a couple of my old solar panels, added a couple new panels, wired it all up, and I was pleasantly surprised to get the Blue Eddy power station charging at around 400 watts. You know how when you buy a 2x4 piece of lumber, it's not 2 inches by 4 inches? That's a lot like solar panels. You buy a 200 watt panel and you'll probably get 150 watts out of it. I don't know where they get this 200 watt rating, maybe on the equator of Mercury during the summer solstice. And you know, if I found myself on the surface of Mercury during an 800-degree day, there's only one thing I would reach for to keep me hydrated. It's Element, the fine sponsor of today's video. I have tried them all, and finally, Element is the electrolyte drink that tastes great, doesn't mess with my stomach, doesn't make me all twitchy, keeps me fired up, and has 0 sugar. The Element thesis is out with sugar and in with salt. They believe that most people, especially active people that go out, work out, and sweat a lot, need more salt in their diet to perform their best. Element is 0 sugar, stevia sweetened, and packed with sodium, potassium, and magnesium to make sure you fight off the headaches, cramps, and general tiredness that comes with a lack of electrolytes. Once you figure out what flavors you like, I think the big ol' insider box is the way to go. It'll keep you stocked up for months and months. The best way to figure out what flavor you're gonna like the most is to go on the website and order a pack. I highly recommend the raspberry salt, but maybe you're more of a citrus person or an orange person or a watermelon person, on and on and on. But once you make an order, you can actually get a free sample pack. They'll give you all 8 flavors with your order, but you have to go through my link to do it on drinkelement.com/BKXC. It's time to dive in and give Element a try. The sample pack offer is only available through my link. Go to drinklmnt.com/BKXC. So we're back on track now. The water is flowing, and then I start to smell something. This is fresh water coming from the well, and it stinks. And it's funny because this well sat undisturbed for 50 years, and when we put the pump down and pumped the water out the first time, it was clean and clear, odorless, tasteless, perfect. But now we've got the stank problem that needs to be solved, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Because on the topic of stank, it is finally time to get a real deal flush toilet up and running at Everstoke. We've already had the septic system installed and tested and approved and ready to go. But at least we have a head start with the grumper. Our little outhouse is gonna get a battlefield promotion. We're gonna turn this frog into a prince. And the first step is to unscrew everything and tear it all apart so I can get it light enough to move around because it's in the wrong spot. I was able to do a little bit of the dragging by myself, but then Dan, Aaron, and Derek all helped me out to get this thing into position. And now you can start to see how I need to dig a trench, lay some pipe, and hook everything up to the septic system. So now we're on to the next day, and the clock is ticking. Nobody wants to go out into the woods and dig a hole and deal with that whole mess, but I'm very confident that I could get this whole thing hooked up and active and ready to go in no time. Yeah. I got off to a pretty good start here, knocking out the old throne to make room for the real toilet. I put down a piece of plywood for the new floor, did some measurements to see where we're at and get the toilet flange all situated, and then cut a circular hole with a circular saw, which does not cut circular holes. I hate using the wrong tool so much. I didn't have a jigsaw at this moment in time. And then just did a little bit of eyeballing, and it was time to commence the digging. If you ever want to wear yourself out within about 4 minutes, grab a shovel and a pick and go as hard as you can with digging a hole or a trench, and you'll be huffing and puffing and very close to passing out within minutes, especially if it's hot outside. So I'm digging away and I'm getting pretty close here, and I want to see the angle and the fall and do a little dry fitting with the pipes when I notice that the water inside the septic tank is right up to this fitting here. And that shouldn't be a big deal. This fitting wasn't watertight, it was just temporary for over the winter, and this whole area was probably fully submerged underwater. No problemo, I've got the septic tank pump all wired up. We just gotta plug it in, let it run, and the water will get down to a safe and sane level. And when I plugged in the pump, the alarm started going off, which is telling you the toxic waste has reached a dangerous level. But luckily, there's no toxic waste inside the septic pump right now, just water. But here's the problem. Every time I tried to actually run the septic pump, it would overwhelm the power source. It would hit more than 2,000 watts, and no matter if it was my dad's Blue Eddy, my small little gas generator, or my Blue Eddy power station, they all tripped the breaker and failed. You'd get a good 5 seconds of pumpage and then nothing. Sorry guys, no toilet on this trip. But a couple weeks later, I headed back up to Everstoke with a little bit of backup in the form of a medium-sized gas generator, which will help us get over the hump with the septic pump. I'm not trying to rhyme all this, but... And eventually I'm gonna get this tied into our whole power system as a really good backup. The Blue Beast did its job and was able to supply plenty of power. Drain, baby, drain. It's a victory, but we still don't have a toilet. But before we get the toilet going, I have to go back to the water system and put those filters back on. The only thing I don't like about the PEX piping is having to take off an old pipe and rearrange things. It takes power and finesse. But once I got the piping going, it was very easy to just throw in the new water filtration system, same as the old water filtration system, fresh and ready to go, hooked up, got the water running, and everything seemed pretty good. I couldn't really taste anything or smell anything. I thought it was all good to go. So now it's back to the toilet project, and I've got my dad helping me out on this trip. We're trying to get everything level and centered and just elevated a little bit so we have a little more fall. So while we're at it here, we want to do more than just catch the toilet, so it gets a little more complicated. We have a future tiny house that is being delivered pretty soon, so we want to leave a lateral for that. And then we want to be able to have a clean out / RV dump. So if someone comes with an RV, they could dump into the clean out and be good to go. And then also a sink and maybe a future shower. So there was a lot of puzzle pieces to put together. And once we got the toilet flange installed, it was time to bring in the throne. The toilet dropped in without much fuss, and I opted to use a non-wax ring. For the 5 of you out there that have actually popped the toilet off the flange and seen what is in there with the wax ring, it is just so hard to tell what is clean and what is dirty. But with the non-wax ring, I think there's a better idea that it's not just a disgusting mess down there. This is all official top-notch work. We even got a vent installed. But the thing I was looking forward to the most, a bidet, didn't work. For some reason, the fit wasn't right. We were gonna live in the lap of luxury, but instead, back to the caveman days. And yes, you still use some paper with the bidet, but not as much as the constant rolls, and we're gonna just go through paper and paper. It's not worth it. Upgrade your life. So we're getting closer and closer, but the toilet's still not functional and ready, so I did make other options available. So now it's time to get the fresh water flowing to the toilet tank, and the amazing thing about plumbing is that there's always a fitting for what you want to do. I wanted to connect a garden hose to a toilet, and that wasn't that hard actually. We'll get some actual water lines run eventually, but for now, this is an awesome temporary solution. We got the sink up and running so you can wash dishes, you can wash your hands. Oh yeah, we're doing it all. From there, we gave it the first flush, we put the door back on, and we had a toilet up and running. What a relief, literally and figuratively. So we started this adventure with power problems, pooping problems, and water problems. We did pretty good with power and pooping, but now, after a couple days, the water is starting to smell through the whole system. The filters aren't cutting it. So fast forward another couple weeks, headed back up to Everstoke to conquer the smell in the well. We have an artesian well, which means it's constantly overflowing with water, and we have to put that water somewhere. We have a black pipe that runs under the road, and then we catch it in a basin, and then it overflows from there into a seasonal creek. It's warm in that black pipe, and there's just enough of an upswing before it hits the stock tank that some really nasty stuff is able to collect inside the pipe. So I've got a long-term fix, but first we gotta do the short-term fix of shocking the well with chlorine. This basically gets a bunch of bleach inside the system to kill anything that might be living in there. And it's a pretty simple thing. I was able to calculate online how many gallons of bleach for how many gallons of water, pour everything in, and then you actually run your outlets, your faucets, the toilet, and keep that bleach water in there for about 20 hours. And you're supposed to take the water filters out of the system because the bleach will destroy them, so I just left them out in the sun. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. And while we were waiting the 20 hours, my dad built this little deck in our water station area, which is normally just so muddy and messy and just constantly eroding. This is a really nice addition. And the plastic decking is from a water park that my Uncle Dennis worked at years and years ago. They had a little extra. We also got 6 more loads of road base, which is awesome to keep the dust down, to keep the mud out, to make our roads stronger. So nice. And my dad even came up with a way to screed out all the road base instead of having to do it manually by hand. So my long-term solution to the pollution in the well is to create an air gap. We still want to capture all this water and we still want to kind of have it run off in a certain spot, but between where it comes out from the well and ending up at the bottom of the hill, I want to separate that with a little bit of air. I saw a picture on the web that looked really neat of an overflow pipe going into a catch basin, so I bought a pot and we tried to do that, and pretty quickly I broke the pot. We got pretty lucky that all the stores were closed at the moment, because we would have just gone out and bought another terracotta pot and it would have been okay. But the next morning, my dad got some inspiration and he actually found the old plastic catch basin that we had laying around from previous overflow projects, and he drilled a hole in it, put a fitting in it, and then went to work stacking rocks. He must have made 20 trips on the Rokon looking for rocks, gathering them, bringing them back, all super heavy, time consuming, stacking them in little neat positions. Holy moly, he spent the whole day doing it and it came out so cool. I put the game camera back up in that spot just to see if anything's gonna come and drink. My project for the day was to rewire, trench out, and tidy up the septic controls. I kind of forgot to take any footage, but take my word for it, it's awesome. It's super pro. We had a pretty big earthquake that hit the north side of the county, and we were getting all kinds of alerts on our phone, take shelter, earthquake incoming. We didn't even actually feel it, but it did remind me that I never actually strapped up the well tank, so I got that finally taken care of. After 20 hours of soaking in the system, it was time to purge the bleach, and I flushed and flushed and flushed, and the water came out perfect. No smell, no taste, back to square one. And finally, I felt like I got enough accomplished after all the trials and tribulations to reward myself with the real magic of Everstoke, our mountain bike trails.
First time in a long time. Oh yeah. When it matters most, I can get the jumps going. Oh. Cool. Okay, this is let it rip. Whoa. And we're gonna see some new configurations out here that Aaron's been working on. Used to have to go up and climb back what we just did, but we've got a couple connector climbing trails going. Yeah, I can't let it rip there. Oh. Oh. Here we go. This is the namesake. Boom. Oh. Wow. So now we can continue to the right. Oh man, nice. Easy grade. Got a big old switchback there. Aaron named this one Serpent's Back. Slithering through. Now we're back to east side perimeter. Ah, this is so cool. Don't have to ride the same climbing trail over and over. This is the time of day. Perfect time. Yeah. The bugs found us on Rough Cut. There's some mountain lion paws. Fresh tracks. Oh God, I couldn't see where it was going. Woo-hoo. That was cool. Sun got on my eyes. Whoa. Nice. Oh, that's fun stuff. Forgot about this section. Yeah. Butt pucker point. Oh yeah. Oh, it's amazing how little trail damage there is for this being just the craziest winter of all time. This is the future Sir Squatch-a-lot. Oh God. Ah. Didn't make it. Sun was in my eyes. Whew. Overthought it. There we go. Got in my head big time.
Yeah, almost did me too. It's been a while since I did this.
Now we're back to ESP and the hardest left in the world. It's not meant to ride this way. Ha ha! Pogo stick. That is awesome. Okay. made a fool of me. Ooh. Awkward. Still tough climbing challenges. Keeping them honest. Yeah. Yeah. That's the one. That's the tough one. Oh. 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 So we're still on the friends and family plan right now. Not quite ready to go full swing, but if you're on Patreon and you want to come up here, send me a message. We can make it happen. Get a little donation going, and we would love to have you. Beta test. Wow. The Lost Sierra, still under snow in the main riding areas, but for us, we're only around 4,400 feet, so we can ride. Here's our third cool climb. Tough stuff. We want to stick to the property line as much as we can so we can get every little bit of trail. I live this spot too. Oh God, took my eye off the ball. Had to grind it. It's time for the crown jewel, Everflow. Aaron's been doing a lot of work out here. Stuff is still soft because the snow only melted about maybe 3 weeks ago. Oh, missed it. The sun in my eyes again. Not as familiar with all the whoops and doops. I know there's a section coming up that I want to try to keep my speed through. Oh yeah. What a berm, huh? Wow, ooh, that one's doing pretty good too. Once I get all the infrastructure going, I really am looking forward to getting out on the trails and finding all the little spots we can dial it in, turn it a little more, make the berm a little bigger. Oh, whoop. Sunset sampling. Woo. Oh. Oh yeah. That's cool. Whoa. Almost slid the front. It's actually pretty good. I thought maybe it'd be more soft, but it's good. Just need some tires. And the freaky finish line. Can never go fast on that. Oh. Woo. 2.87 miles in 40 minutes. Gotta get a couple laps on the Ring of Fire here. Also known as the pump track, but it was just so hard, I thought Ring of Fire was a better name for it. Cause like from right here, try to pump, ran out. But then it's lower now. Dan and Aaron made some adjustments. Dan is our MVP, Everstoke volunteer. He has made this place so much better with so many little things. The hillbilly peloton right here. 50 laps. Oh wow, that reminds me. My SRAM transmission has been much more dialed in now. I haven't had any ghost shifting on this whole route. Before, it was happening so much. And I understand the concept of how you have to put it on, how you have to tighten everything, but you just got to do it a couple times and make those mistakes and understand the order of operations. So now I think I've got it down. Whew. That was a perfect little 45-minute ride, sunrise or sunset. 3.32 miles. Whoa, heart rate 188. Hadn't seen it that high yet.
We are feeling so good about the trails, about the water, about the toilet, about the power. Man, we are dialed, we are ready to go. But winter is coming, and that's really the next thing that's looming over my head for Everstoke, to really get things dialed in. But until then, do me a favor, go ride something new, and maybe I'll see you on the trail.